Hi, Room 5. Welcome back to our Me on the Map America week. We're doing American symbols this week and our country of the United States of America. Today, we're going to do an art project. So what I would like for you to have is your colors, whatever those may be. Of course, I'm going to use a Sharpie, and I used crayons to color mine. If you have a ruler, you might want to grab a ruler as well. Today I'm going to read you the song that we actually sing on Flag Friday, America the Beautiful. And then our art project is from the words in this song. We're going to use those words as motivation to kind of draw a picture that is symbolic of our entire country. So, first of all, America the Beautiful. Let's just remind ourselves what exactly America looks like. This is a map that we have. And remember that America is 50 states. And let's hear the words of this song, America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain. This is the color amber. For purple mountain majesties, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood. From sea to shining sea. So those words carry a lot of weight. That means they mean a lot. And they're basically, first of all, they're showing you all the different parts of America. Everything from our farms to the beautiful different landscapes that we have. And then they also used the word brotherhood. And brotherhood doesn't mean that you have to be a boy or have brothers. What that means is humans coming together. Humans who are all different. We all look different. We all come from different places. But it means that we do come together from sea to shining sea. Now, what does that sea to shining sea mean? It means from the Pacific to the Atlantic, from sea to shining sea. And on one particular picture in here, when they said America, America, these are all different symbols of America. And the two that we're going to put into our project actually are on this page, which is pretty neat. We are going to use the words from sea to shining sea for our art project today. And we have to draw it. So it's not going to turn out perfect, and it's going to look different for all of us, which I kind of love. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a symbol from the West Coast and a symbol from the East Coast, okay? Because that would span our whole country. And we are going to do two of my favorite symbols because I am the one leading this. But you could do this with any two symbols that you wanted. If you wanted to do different symbols, we are going to choose to do today the Golden Gate Bridge, which is on the Pacific, and the Statue of Liberty, which is in the Atlantic. So this means from sea to shining sea. Now, the other thing that I added to this picture is, our world is a globe. And the sun actually rises on the East Coast and it sets on the West Coast. So if you look at my little sun right here, look, it's rising in the east by the Statue of Liberty. So if you were out hanging out with Lady Liberty, you would see the sun come up. But then when you're on the West Coast, if you were on the Golden Gate Bridge, you would get to see the sun come down, because that's how it works. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west as our world turns around and says hello to the sun. So we're going to get started on this today. If there's someone at home who can help you and you have a ruler, then you can do this. If not, I didn't use a ruler on this last night. I'm going to take my piece of paper and I'll tape it up here for you today. Okay. And let's see, I'm just going to outline this really quickly so you can see mine in black, because I know it's kind of hard to see. And, like anything, this is actually the first time I have done this. And I actually wanted to do it with you guys on a giant piece of paper this year. I'd planned it out all year long to be the first class ever to get to do this. And of course, now we're doing it like this, but it's going to end up awesome. So the first thing I need you to do actually is I want you to fold your paper in half, because we're splitting it west and east, right? Okay, it's like the two wicked witches. So we've got our west side and our east side. And now if you have a ruler, but again, you don't need to have one. I didn't have one when I did that. You can have somebody help you do the border at the top. It's hard for me to see here where it is. Okay, because then up on the top, what we're going to write is from sea to shining sea in our best handwriting. So I'm going to write it in Sharpie. If you want to do it in pencil and then trace over it, you can. From sea to shining sea. And I have a little bit of extra space over here, so I'm going to put some music notes because it is part of a song. So now you're going to want to pause it and do that. If you want to keep yours in all upper cases like I did up here, you can. If you want to do yours in lower cases, you can. I'm going to scoot this forward so you can see a little bit better. There we go. And then down here on the bottom, remember this side over here is our west and this side over here is our east. So this side is going to have the Pacific Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, and this side is going to have the Atlantic Ocean. Now again, you're probably going to want to pause it right here and work on writing those words. Okay. And then what I did is I filled in my waves all the way across, because both of these symbols of America are in the water. All right. And then we need to split where that fold is. So I'm just going to take my pen and draw my line down. You can use a ruler, you can have a grown-up help you. And then as soon as you're ready, unpause it, because we are going to start drawing our bridge. and Our Lady Liberty. Now, I am not a pro at drawing either one of these things. So I started with the bridge, and what I did was I looked at a picture and I noticed that on the Golden Gate Bridge, there are 4 spaces in each tower. So that's kind of what I wanted it to do. And it's known for those gorgeous towers. So there's no real right or wrong way to do it. I wanted to make it look like the bridge was moving away. So I sort of did this diagonal line as the road. Okay. And then my first tower, I want to be really big. And remember, there's 4 big squares in it, or rectangles, I guess they are. And even if you don't get 4 in, it doesn't matter, okay? And then this one would be further away back here, so it's not going to be quite as big. And again, I'm going to put 4, if I can fit. If you can only fit 3, oh well. There we go. Now, of course, it's a suspension bridge, and right now it's floating in outer space. So first I need to put these cables which connect it together. And you can kind of just do them any way you want. And then down below, those towers go into the water. So I'm just gonna do longer ones, and then there's these X's on them. Okay, so it's just to give it the symbol of being the Golden Gate Bridge. And of course, we know that it's painted that bold red color, so people know exactly what it is when they see it. So when you go to color it in, you can color it that way. I colored the background in as a sunset, so I used purple, but you could actually use any color you want, of course. And I had room for my sun. I don't really have room on this one, but you definitely could fit in a sun probably on yours. Then we move over to Lady Liberty, and Lady Liberty is kind of funny to draw because I'm not very good at drawing people. But again, she is a symbol, so you get the idea for how to draw her just by being a symbol. So I started with her face, and she definitely is going to look more like a cartoon than she does like real life Lady Liberty. And first I worked on her face. So I did her hair, and then I just did some basic eyes. You can do any sort of nose that you want, and I did her smiling, even though she's actually looking pretty serious when she's in the harbor. Then her crown, and her crown is very important. First, I gave her like this headband, and then I put arches in it because there actually are arches in her crown that you can actually, or used to be able to go all the way up and look out of her crown. Then, of course, she has her 7 spikes. She has 1 big spike in the middle, and then she has 3 pointing out on each side. Like that. Now, her body is actually not that hard to draw. We have to draw her one hand holding the torch. So what I did is I sort of just drew a rectangle coming out by her head right there. And I didn't actually even draw her hand. I just drew an upside down triangle and the torch. That way I wouldn't have to draw her hand. And then over here on this side, I drew the beginning of her gown, but then she's holding that tablet. And if you remember, we talked about it. Her tablet actually says July 4th, 1776. So if you have room, you can write that on there. And then the rest is just her gown that falls to her feet. Now, if you were actually to go up and see the Statue of Liberty, you would see that at her feet, you actually see her feet, and you see broken chains, which mean freedom. But we're, of course, just drawing our little cartoon of her. And then we're going to draw her robe. And the way we make it look like a robe is we just draw some squiggly lines like this. And that makes it look like she has some flowy clothes. Okay? And you can add in some things. And there she is, standing in the Atlantic Ocean. So you have to practice this, obviously. And you might want to pause and start over and try again and do it a different way before you actually go to color it. Once I decided that I was finished with this one, I picked out my colors very carefully. I picked out 2 different backgrounds because I didn't want them to be the same. I picked for my top and my bottom to be blue since they both talk about oceans and seas, but I picked 2 different colors. I did some blending and some shading. And like I said, I waited to use my Sharpie on this one until I had it just right. So that might be what you want to do also. And of course, when you look at this, this doesn't look like the Golden Gate Bridge. And of course, this doesn't look exactly like the Statue of Liberty. But what you can see is 2 of America's biggest, most famous symbols. And they spread from California all the way over to New York. So they really do show that Americans are from sea to shining sea. Okay? So have fun with this. I can't wait to see what you've come up with your ideas. This was my first time drawing the Golden Gate Bridge and the Statue of Liberty. And like I said, if we had done this in the classroom, I believe we would have done them humongous and on a really big piece of paper. And I had some big ideas, but instead we're just going to do it at home. We're going to keep it in our portfolio. And I can't wait to see them. So send me a picture if you get it done, okay? So I miss you guys and I love you. And there's no place like home, from sea to shining sea.